Oh, all right, everybody. Here I am. In my birthday's on Friday. Apparently there's gonna be a party on Thursday. Whether or not there is, I'm drinking on Thursday, but I also don't want to go through withdrawal on. I was hitting it pretty bad yesterday, and the day before with the withdrawal. I've got cracked teeth, so withdrawal dehydrates me, and so I got tooth pain, and my fucking body's just like, what the fuck, man? Like, um, yeah, no, apparently some people don't get withdrawal, but, anyways, yeah, no, so I'm still kind of in meditative mode. Meditative mode is tiring for me. I'm a hard-working bum. Um, but it's fun. Like most of the time, I'm not on here, blabbing away. I'm thinking about something, and it's just, nothing like you think about a political polemicist. It's like they're kind of like obsessed in an unhealthy way with thoughts. So I'll just think about whatever. Or I'll create stories. I've got all these stories that I created I haven't written down yet. Um, I'm excited to write them down. But anyways, yeah. So here I am. But I started doing some of these videos, and nobody's listening right now. So, um, but it's kind of cathartic because I've got all these thoughts in my head, and I don't know. It's just kind of nice to just talk about these thoughts. I don't know. La la la. But anyways, yeah. So I today I just thought I'd do like a kind of a overall review of my thoughts on Genesis and Exodus by Moses, um, by Saved from the Water, right? Yeah, so I just thought I'd just do a short little recap of my thoughts on it. And, I mean, nobody get mad at me. I'm not saying this is the truth. This is the way, this is the light. I'm not, uh, I don't have any agendas or anything. I'm just reading the text and telling you what I see, and um, yeah, no, it's probably wrong. So if it's wrong, then gently correct me with reason and logic and textual evidence, uh, rather than name calling and just outright intellectual dismissal. Um, anyways, so here we go. Um, okay, let's start with Abraham, right? Um, so with Abraham, you have this. He lived outside the cities, right? And he lived with a group of people, like a small traveling group, right? And wandering group. And within this group, you'd have like a self-contained community. Some people would be making clothes, other people would be shepherding, other people would be growing plants, and they'd be making things. But come winter, they might pick up and go somewhere, but they're gonna, you know, Abraham's gonna go into the cities and try to sell any of the stuff that they've made, right? So they're kind of like almost wandering merchants. Now they can take care of themselves, but they're selling stuff just to get extra spending money, I think. Um, but yeah, so that's who he is. He goes into these cities, and as the text says, he's a meek man, right? Um, so you have to add this merchant in there. He's a meek merchant. Um, Other people are going to see him, and some of them might want to take advantage of him. Others won't, right? But this is the character that Moses is pretending to be. He's pretending to be this meek little merchant. And his wife is going around sleeping with all the men in the town. And she is able to gather evidence. Or not evidence. Well, yeah, but she's able to gather information. Right, and she's in on it with Abraham. They're both in on this. And Abraham is doing the blessings and curses himself. I mean, that's how he gets so rich. He gets so rich. If you take advantage of Abraham, then he's going to kill you and take your shit. If you sleep with Abraham's wife and you have a malicious heart, then he's going to kill you. Abraham didn't kill all the men who slept with his wife. Only the bad ones. Right? So, Abraham was a ninja. A wandering rabbi ninja that took upon himself the shepherding of another man's tribe for their own good. And he was, purifying his region. Like Abraham, in his own mind, had jurisdiction. He was righteous. Now, as it says in the text, there'll be some men within these communities within Mesopotamia who will just outright kill him, right? Now, these men that he's talking about are secret society members that are vicious, and they will just straight murder you and take your stuff, just like he's saying, right? And so he's actually trying to uncover these criminal cabals that are, like I said, secret societies were birthed in Mesopotamia. So yeah, no, but he was doing the blessings and curses himself, right? And if he blessed you, and if they figured out what he was doing, then they'd be scared shitless of him, and they'd be like, okay, get away from me. Like, thank you very much, but get away from me. So this is a different type of rabbi. And so, but Moses is the same way, right? Moses is exactly the same way, because you have that Charlton Heston movie on Moses that's just completely textually inaccurate. Moses was a silent one in the background. That's what the text says. Aaron was doing all the talking. Aaron was doing all the talking. And, at another point it says in the text that Moses' words will be within the Pharaoh's mouth, right? And another point in the text, in the beginning of the text, it talks about the wise men of Egypt. And the wise men, they're the ones making the decisions. So in other words, the Pharaoh is just a puppet of an Egyptian secret society, of these wise men. The wise men are the one in charge. And he is the one that Moses, or they are the ones that Moses does battle with. Um, so yeah, Moses he's in the background. He's totally in the background. Aaron's doing all the talking. And and there's that conversation between God and Moses, right? And I mean, it's a silly conversation, and people don't see the silliness of it, right? Because Moses wins an argument with God. He's like, "Oh, Moses, go free my people," and Moses is like, "Oh, come on, I'm not good with words, like Moses wants to be a ninja, he wants to do it his way." And God, he's like, "Fine, Moses, fine," So God is acting like a stern father in this, but it's just acting. Like this is a playful little moment between God and Moses. Like we're talking about the immovable. We're talking about God. We're talking about the unchangeable. But God or Moses was able to move God. Um. So yeah, no, he goes in ninja style, right, into Egypt. And so anyways, going back to this phrase, the Pharaoh's words will, or Moses' words will be in the Pharaoh's mouth. Like what that line is saying is that Moses took over. Like he's now the one writing the script, right? It was a coup. Moses didn't destroy Egypt. He took it over and walked away. Right? And it was a palace coup against the wise men. Because I mean the story is just like super interesting, right? It's because it's a pressure game. Right? Moses went in and played this pressure game against these wise men because the wise men, tell the Pharaoh, no, we're not going to do this. And they start to put pressure on the Jews through the Pharaoh, right? They go to the Pharaoh and they're like, no, and so he goes, and they start to put pressure on the Jews. Now that's going to in turn put pressure on Aaron, and that's going to in turn put pressure on Moses, right? Now what are the what are the plagues doing, right? Well, the plagues are pissing off the women of the city, right? Um, yeah, so the plagues are pissing off the women of the city, but particularly they're also pissing off the women of the palace, right? Because think about all these plagues. Like women now can't take a bath because the water's all nasty. Like ew, bugs, ew. Like like every single plague is pissing these women off, and the people in turn, and they're just like going to the Pharaoh and just like, well, why don't you just go let them worship and then they'll be back, right? Which is itself is a lie. Like when Moses was talking to God, he says, well, I'm not good with words, and that is a lie. He is good with words. But it's not a lie, because this is just like a playful interaction, because God knows that Moses is lying, and this is just a silly, playful interaction, right? But that's a lie, because God says, get my people free, and then they go to the Pharaoh and they're like, oh, we just want to worship on this mountain, then we'll be back, right? And so these women are just like, hey, all this shit's gonna stop if you just go let them 3 days. So that's going to put pressure on the Pharaoh, which is in turn going to put pressure on the wise men. And this is how women fight, right? So this is a very interesting aspect to the text, because what do we see about Moses? Moses is like a manly man, you know? I'm going to kick your ass. You know, Moses is just this manly man. But what happens when he fights the manly fight? He gets burnt. You know, he might win the fight, but he gets burnt. You know, he walks up to those two Jews like a man, and he tries to figure out what's going on, and he's like, "Fuck you! You're abusing your fellow Jew. Why do that?" Right? And he wins the argument, but he gets burnt. Right? When he fights like a man, but then he comes back into Egypt, and he now fights like a woman, right? So Moses has discovered his feminine side, right? Yeah, no, it's all just interesting, right? But like that's also interesting, because like after he gets them out, they eventually start to realize, oh shit, Moses is in charge, right? So he took over the tribe purely through stealth, right? And then he got him out into the desert, and he just started killing all of his any of them he didn't like, all of the criminals, right? Because but he's acting like his hero or Abraham. Moses is acting like his hero Abraham, right? These are both wandering rabbi ninjas. You know, I think that's it.